Hello everyone, welcome to Fullmoon Movies. Dog Soldiers is one of the most rare genre films that has grown stronger with time. On release, it was often described simply as a werewolf movie with soldiers. Watched today, especially through Shout Factory's 4K restoration, it becomes clear that Dog Soldiers is something more grounded, more character driven, and far more intelligent than its modest budget ever suggested. The film drops us into the Scottish Highlands with a small British Army squad on what appears to be a routine training exercise. Now, from the opening minutes, Neil Marshall establishes tone through restraint rather than spectacle. Now, these soldiers are not mythic heroes. They bicker, joke, complain, and question authority. Their camaraderie feels lived in, not scripted. This is crucial because Dog Soldiers works precisely because we care about this group as people before the horror begins. Kevin McKidd's Copper anchors the film with quiet skepticism. He is competent but not blindly obedient, and that moral hesitation becomes the film's emotional spine. Unlike many military horror films where soldiers exist purely as expendable bodies, Dog Soldiers treats them as individuals with differing values, instincts, and limits. When things go wrong, their reactions feel human rather than genre driven. The horror unfolds gradually. Marshall avoids overexposure, letting sound designs, shadows, and spatial disorientations to do the work. The Scottish Highlands are shot not as postcard landscapes, but as oppressive, unknowable terrain. Now, in the Shout Factory's 4K presentation, this environment finally breathes. The night sequences retains the deep blacks without crushing the detail, and the grain structure preserves the film's gritty texture instead of polishing it into something artificial. The forest feels wet, cold, and hostile, an enemy in itself. When the werewolves finally appear, Dog Soldiers makes a bold choice. Now, these creatures are physically practical and aggressively tangible. There is no reliance on early 2000s CGI shortcuts. The suits, while limited by budget, gain credibility through movement, staging, and timing. In 4K, their texture and scale are more apparent, but so is the craftsmanship. Rather than diminishing the illusion, the higher resolution reinforces how well these effects were designed for darkness, chaos, and close quarter combat. One of the film's greatest strengths is its genre fusion. Dog Soldiers is simultaneously a siege movie, a war film, and a creature feature. How fantastic, isn't it? Now, the second half, largely confined to a remote farmhouse, echoes Assault on Precinct 13 and Night of the Living Dead, more than traditional werewolf lore. Now, these shifts from open wilderness to claustrophobic defense raises the tension organically. Ammunition dwindles, trust erodes, and desperation replaces bravado. Now, the script's use of dark humor is often misunderstood. The jokes are not there to deflate the tension, but to mirror how soldiers cope under stress. Gallows humor becomes a survival mechanism. Now, Shout Factory's 4K audio presentation helps to keep these tonal shifts land more cleanly. Dialogues remain crisp even during chaotic action, allowing character beats to survive the noise. Sean Pertwee's Sergeant Wells embodies the film's critique of authority. His rigid adherence to protocol contrasts sharply with Cooper's moral instincts. Now, this dynamic elevates Dog Soldiers beyond simple monster survival. The film quietly questions obedience, leadership, and the cost of treating human lives as tactical variables. Now, these themes resonate even more today, especially in a post-war on terror cinematic landscape. The werewolves themselves function as more than monsters. They represent an enemy that cannot be negotiated with, studied, or even controlled, an echo of an asymmetric warfare fears prevalent at the turn of the millennium. Now, unlike zombies or aliens, these creatures are intelligent, strategic, and cruel. They hunt with purpose. Marshall never explains them away, and the refusal to over-mythologize keeps the horror grounded. Shout Factory's 4K release is arguably the definitive way to experience Dog Soldiers. The transfer respects the film's original grit while improving clarity and contrast. Practical effects benefit immensely, blood effects are retained by texture without becoming cartoonish, and the farmhouse interiors gain depth and dimensionality. The sound mix enhances gunfire, creature movement, and environmental cues without overwhelming the dialogue. Supplementary features contextualize the film's production challenges and creative decisions, reinforcing how much was actually achieved with limited resources then. Now, what most striking is revisiting those soldiers now. is how confidently it avoids sequel bait, franchise mythology, and forced expansion. It tells a complete story. Characters actually earn their fates. There is no sentimentality or consequence. The ending is bleak yet resolute, reinforces the film's commitment to tone over comfort. In retrospect, Dog Soldiers feels like a foundational work in modern British horror, one that paved the way for a later grounded genre films by providing that character, atmosphere, and restraint which matters more than budget. It understands that fear comes not from excess but from identification, from watching capable people pushed beyond preparations into raw survival. Seen through Shout Factory 4K restoration, Dog Soldiers is no longer just a cult favorite, it's a benchmark. A fiercely efficient horror film that reflects its audience, trusts its characters, and proves that practical filmmaking, when guided by clarity of vision, can outlast trends, technologies, and time itself. Now, this movie is a must-watch.